Hello everybody and welcome to the final episode of this year's spooky season, where for the entire month of October we've so far made 8 videos centred around horror games, with today being video number 9, and with Halloween being tomorrow, I thought we could round off the month by highlighting 5 fantastic horror games that I think everybody needs to play before they die. So let's kick things off with number 5. Fear the Spotlight feels like a game discovered on a forgotten memory card from 1998, and that is meant as high praise. It captures that lost era of PlayStation horror when the scariest thing wasn't a monster jumping out at you, but the quiet moments between the footsteps when you realised how alone you really were. The game's visual style is what hooks you first. It leans hard into that PS1 era aesthetic with low poly models, soft lighting and textures so fuzzy that they just creep me out, man. But it's not retro for nostalgia's sake. This lo-fi look becomes part of the horror. Your mind fills in the gaps. You're never seeing the full picture. You're imagining it. The shadows are grainy, the faces are blurred, and your brain starts doing what it always does when something looks off. It invents something worse. That subtle, uncanny ambiguity is the real monster here. The story pulls you in quietly, like a whisper in an empty hallway. You play as 2 teenage girls, Vivian and Amy, sneaking into their high school after dark, but what starts as a fun sequence of poor decisions turns into a descent into the school's long-buried secrets. There's tragedy here, there's mystery, and an emotional undercurrent that most horror games don't really attempt. And then there's that creeping dread. It's not loud or in your face, it's patient. Every flickering light feels like it's pulsing in time with your heartbeat. Every locked door feels like it's keeping something you don't want to meet. The pacing is immaculate. Moments of calm exploration give you just enough breathing room before the tension tightens up again. The puzzle design deserves serious credit too. It's the perfect balance between logic and unease. You're solving riddles, you're collecting items, and you're trying to make sense of clues, but you never feel comfortable. What really makes Fear the Spotlight special is how it respects your imagination. It is not a jump scare factory, in fact there are very few of them. It's a game that trusts you to feel the horror. It has confidence in its own atmosphere building. It knows that you will project your own fears onto its hazy world. The more you invest yourself, the more the game gives back in dread, emotion and atmosphere. If Fear the Spotlight is a ghost story told in whispers, then Alan Wake 2 is a psychological opera screamed through a typewriter. Remedy did not set out to just make a horror game. They made an entire meta-narrative about horror itself. Let's start with the gameplay, because yes, this is still a survival horror game at its core, but it's elevated slightly. Every fight feels like it was ripped straight from a nightmare, where your flashlight is more than just a tool, it is your lifeline. The light mechanics return from the first game, and the way you burn away enemies before unloading never stops feeling good. It's deliberate, it's tense, and it's weighty. When you shoot, it feels like a statement, and when you run out of ammo, it feels like a death sentence. But what makes the combat click is how it integrates with the story. You are fighting the manifestations of narrative itself, darkness given form, metaphors made flesh. That might sound pretentious, but the game does earn it, I feel. Ambitious doesn't really cover it. Alan Wake 2 is layered like a novel written by someone losing their mind mid-sentence. You are constantly shifting between 2 protagonists, Saga Anderson and Alan Wake, and the contrast between them couldn't be sharper. Saga's half is grounded, investigative, and eerie in a realistic way. It's small-town horror, where every smiling resident could be harbouring something unspeakable. Bright Falls just drips with atmosphere, from the fog-soaked forests, the rain-slicked roads, and the diners that feel too normal. Playing a Saga feels like starring in a true crime show that keeps bleeding into supernatural madness. And then there's Alan's world, the dark place, and its whole different beast. It's surreal, it's theatrical, and it's self-aware. Alan's trapped in a constantly shifting reality that he may or may not be writing as he experiences. It's disorienting in the best possible way. And we have to talk about the live action sequences as well. Remedy has always dabbled in blending film and gameplay, but here they fully embrace it, and you will transition seamlessly from gameplay to full live action performances, often starring the same actors you're controlling normally. It sounds jarring, but somehow it enhances the dreamlike unreality. You stop trying to figure out what's real and just start accepting that the whole thing just isn't. Every inch of Alan Wake 2 feels handcrafted to keep you off balance, not just scared, but intrigued. It's constantly asking questions about creativity, obsession, and the price of storytelling itself. It is horror, yes, but I also feel it's art. It's messy, it's ambitious, and it's hypnotic. Remaking Resident Evil 4 is like remaking Oxygen. It's one of those things you just don't mess with. But somehow, Capcom looked at that challenge and decided, why not? We could use some money. The original Resident Evil 4 basically invented the modern action horror formula: tight over-the-shoulder shooting, dynamic encounters, and quick-time events for no reason. The remake takes all of that and refines it to near perfection. From the first village ambush, you can tell this isn't just nostalgia bait. The pacing, the AI, the environmental design, everything has been fine-tuned to make every fight feel like a desperate cinematic struggle. Enemies flank, they climb, and they rush you in terrifying swarms, forcing you to constantly be thinking and adapting with split-second decision-making. And let's talk about the combat, because Jesus Christ, shooting feels so damn good, it should be illegal. Every gun has personality. There's the recoil, the kick, the sound, it's tactile, it's brutal, and it's satisfying in a way that makes even the simplest encounter feel exciting. The parry mechanic adds an incredible layer of skill and style. Deflecting a chainsaw with a knife should be ridiculous, but here, it just makes sense and it's exhilarating. The atmosphere is darker, grittier, more oppressive. Gone are the campy overtones and winks to the camera. In their place is a grounded sense of dread. The villagers feel genuinely monstrous, the cult's rituals more disturbing, and the environments feel much heavier. You can almost smell the damp wood and the blood-soaked earth. Of course, some of the cheesiness is gone. Leon doesn't necessarily flirt his way through danger as much, and a few of those legendary one-liners didn't make the cut. And yeah, that does hurt, but in return, we get a tone that is more cohesive and cinematic. It does take itself seriously, but not too seriously. The remake also fleshes out characters in really subtle but effective ways. Ashley is no longer just a liability who ruins your day by constantly getting kidnapped. She's a bit more capable and expressive. Luis actually has more screen time, and I feel like they really did a lot of good with his character in this one. And Leon's still Leon. What makes Resident Evil 4 Remake so special is that it never forgets what made the original great. It is still fun first. Even if you were terrified, you would be smiling. Even when you're cornered, you would be improvising. It's the rare horror game that manages to be scary and empowering at the same time. In short, Resident Evil 4 Remake is the quintessential action horror experience. It's tense, it's polished, it is endlessly replayable, and proof that you can honour the past while still pushing it forwards. If there is a single game on this list that defines the genre's evolution, it's this one. Even in a remake landscape full of nostalgia cash-ins, Silent Hill 2 Remake feels sacred, because this isn't just another horror story, it is the horror story. It is the best horror story this medium has ever produced. Hands down. It's not about monsters or curses or cheap thrills, it's about grief, guilt, repression, and the parts of ourselves we'd rather keep buried, and somehow manages to deliver all of that with a level of nuance that most films struggle to reach, let alone games. The brilliance of Silent Hill 2 has always been what it doesn't say. It is a story told through implication, through symbolism and tone. Every line of dialogue, every lingering camera angle, every awkward pause is loaded with meaning. You feel it even if you can't fully explain it, and that's what makes it so unsettling. The horror doesn't come from outside, it comes from within, and the remake keeps that core intact, the heavy atmosphere, the oppressive loneliness, but presents it through an upgraded lens. The environments are staggering in their detail. The streets of Silent Hill feel forgotten, like the world has given up. The fog is thicker, the interior is more decayed, and the sound design wraps you around you like a damp shroud. Every footstep echoes just a little too long, every door creak feels like it's protesting your existence, and every crackle of the radio feels like it comes at the worst possible moment. The combat, this time around, is good. If I'm honest, I think there's a bit too much of it. It's satisfying to swing that pipe or line up that headshot, but Silent Hill 2 has never been about the combat, it's about the space between the fights, the stretches of silence, the trudging through the fog, and the moments where you're left completely alone with your thoughts trying to put everything together. There is something ineffable about Silent Hill 2, some alchemy that no other game has managed to replicate. It is a feeling that lingers long after the credits have rolled, like an emotional bruise that never quite fades. I can't fully describe what Silent Hill 2 does to you, because it's not something you can summarise, it's something you experience. It burrows under your skin, sits on your chest, and whispers to you in quiet moments. It's tragic, beautiful, horrifying, and deeply human. If there is one horror game I wish every person could experience, not just play, but truly experience, it's this one. There's nothing else like it, and there probably never will be. There are a lot of scary games out there, games that make you jump, games that make you tense, maybe even make you pause and laugh before you continue on, but Amnesia: The Bunker is one that just takes it to a new level. This is, without exaggeration, the scariest game that I have ever played. It doesn't rely on cheap tricks or scripted moments, it traps you in a system that feels alive and then dares you to survive within it. You are trapped in a World War I bunker, wounded, alone, and surrounded by darkness. The setting is perfect, a claustrophobic maze of cold metal corridors, damp concrete walls, and the constant hum of the generator. It's the kind of place that feels pretty wrong to be in, even without a monster chasing you. But unfortunately, there is one. The genius of the bunker is in how it blends structure with chaos. There's very little scripting. The world doesn't move on rails, it reacts. The creature stalking you is coming to know you and where you are by sound alone. It's not tied to pre-planned encounters, it's driven by AI that reacts dynamically to you and what you're doing. Every single noise you make increases your chances of being found. You quickly learn to be silent, but silence comes at a cost, because the only thing keeping the bunker from complete darkness is your generator, a noisy machine that guzzles fuel. But the horrible catch is that the generator's fuel is limited. It does not run forever. When it stops, the lights go out, and when the lights go out, the monster gets even more aggressive. It starts roaming more frequently, responding more aggressively to your presence. The game suddenly becomes a balancing act, a cruel, perfect dance between efficiency and fear. You need to move fast to scavenge fuel and supplies, but every movement risks alerting the thing lurking in the dark. There is an exquisite tension in that loop. You are constantly weighing risk versus reward. Do you sprint down the hall to reach the armory before the generator dies, or creep slowly and hope you make it in time? Every single choice you make in this game feels like a gamble, and the stakes just never stop climbing. It is rare for a horror game to make even people such as myself that have played many horror games feel so constantly unsafe, but it does so effortlessly. There is no comfort, there is no safe corner to catch your breath. Every time you save feels like a risk. The sense of isolation is completely crushing, and the sound design drives that home with the distant thuds, the metal groans. You can always sort of hear the monster doing something, but you can't always pin down exactly where it is. And the best part is that the game is never the same twice because of its randomization. Every single run feels unpredictable because the monster's behaviour changes. Remember, it's reacting to what you do. The item placements even shift, so you can't solely rely on memory. I've played a decent amount of horror games in my time. I've been chased, I've been hunted, I've been haunted, and I've been psychologically tortured by pixels on a screen for years. But Amnesia the Bunker is one of the only ones that genuinely got under my skin. It made me feel really small and powerless and fragile in a way that no other game ever has. If you are looking for pure, unfiltered tension, the kind that makes you hold your breath without even realising it, then this is it. It is a masterclass in dread. When people talk about horror as an emotion rather than a genre, they are talking about games like this. And on that note, I am very sad to announce that spooky season is officially over. If you enjoyed any of the videos this month, then please leave this one a like and make sure to subscribe to see more videos from me. Spooky season may be over, but I still upload at least one video a week anyway. It just may not always be about horror games. Thank you very much for watching. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you later.